Hey guys, just to remind you of what the calendar says. Tomorrow we have basically what I'm going to call a notes quiz. Basically, a quiz that if you have your notes with you, you should do very well on. Um, Yesterday we talked about alkanes and isomers. And today we're going to be talking about alkenes. So, real quick, what were alkanes? You don't have to write this down because you already wrote this down. Alkanes are a single bond hydrocarbon chain. In other words, carbon, 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 single bond, single bond, single bond, bunch of hydrogens. They all look like that. What was an isomer? An isomer is a variation on an arrangement. So if you have four C's in a row, an example could be three C's with one on top. You could have this right here. You could have an L. You could have a bunch of different shapes of the same thing. So what is an alkene? Alkanes are single bond hydrocarbon chains, so alkenes are double bond hydrocarbon chains. This is where our notes for today starts. A double bond hydrocarbon chain. So basically whatever you'd be looking for an alkane, except you're looking for a double bond instead of just single bonds. So the simplest example available to us is this little buddy called ethane. Now if you look, this dude literally just has one bond, period, and it's a double bond. Notice how usually what we would have is a hydrogen on the bottom, hydrogen on the sides, hydrogen on the top, and then a bond in the middle. These don't have that bond on the bottom. That's because each carbon can only sustain really four bonds. So this guy has one, two, three, and four. He's all topped off, and then this guy has one, two, three, and four. So that's why we only have those two on the sides instead of the usual three. Okie doke. So really, now that we kind of understand this a little bit better, we can go straight into naming them. And luckily for us, it's similar to what we did yesterday with naming isomers. Little unfortunately for us, it is different. So when we're naming alkenes, we have a slightly different system we use. So what we still do is look at the number of carbons we have. And if we look at the list, what word do we use for three carbons? We use the word prop, right? So prop is still going to be here. But we're not just going to say, instead of propane, we're not just going to say propene. This is a little bit different. What makes it different is this guy. So do you guys remember when we said we were going to name our carbons? We were going to number them 1 through whatever? We have to do that here. So we start at the end that's the busiest. So does it look busier on the left or the right? The left is the one that has that double bond, so that makes it busier. So this would be carbon 1, carbon 2, and carbon 3. So the question is, what's the lowest number that's attached to this double bond? What's the lowest number attached to the double bond? 1 is the lowest number, so we're going to say it's prop 1 ene. So it is propene, but we have to specify where that double bond is. And if we can do that, that will take care of all our isomers as well. Because what's the other option for this? The double bond could be there, right? It might be there, it might be there. And if you were given a word and you had to figure out what the picture would look like, you would need to know where that double bond is. So the 1 tells you exactly where to go. Please pause the video if you need to finish copying that. I'm going to go to the next example. I have the same formula written 3 times, except there's one key difference. The double bond is in a different place. So number 1, it's on the left. Number 2, it's on the right. Number 3, it's in the middle. So let's name all 3 of these. Sound good? So what do we call something that has 4 carbons right off the bat? We use bute. So this has 4 carbons. This has 4 carbons. This has 4 carbons. All right. So now we need to number our carbons. So where is it busiest, left or the right? It looks like it's busiest on the left. So I'm going to number this carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, and carbon 4. What about the second one? Where is it busiest, left or right? It's busiest over here because of that double bond, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. What about this one? Is it busier on the left or the right? It's actually identical on the left and the right, so it doesn't matter. So I'll go from left to right. All right, so now the question is, what's the lowest number for each one that's attached to the double bond? Here, it's going to be 1. Here, it's going to be 1. And here, it's going to be 2. So bute 1, bute 1, and bute 2. And since there's a double bond, we have the word ene in there. Butene, butene, and butene. And these are the available isomers for me. Notice something interesting. These two looked different initially, but they end up with the exact same name. That's because just because the double bond is on the left or the right isn't changing the structure of the equation. All it's doing is it's almost like if I showed you this Sharpie and then I did this, is it now something different or is it still a Sharpie? The name is still Sharpie. It's still in the same order, but here the cap is on the right, and here the cap is on the left. That doesn't mean it's a different marker. So these have the same name. This is a different name because the double bond's on a different carbon. I'm going to give you guys homework on Google Classroom exactly like this. I'm going to have you guys do the same thing with the naming thing. I'm probably going to do a matching setup where you'll have a bunch of different isomers and alkenes where you can do some matching. And then we'll have our notes quiz tomorrow, and projects are due Friday. If you need help with your project, if you are lost, if you are not feeling like you're fitting the criteria you signed up for, please send me a message on GroupMe, and I will be happy to assist you. That will be for a test grade, and I've already seen a couple of what you guys are working on, and I'm very excited to see them. So with that being said, adios. I'm praying for you guys. Take it easy and wash your hands. Bye.